let me ask you something honest. Have you ever seen a guy who wasn't the tallest, wasn't the richest, wasn't the most traditionally handsome, and yet women were drawn to him? Not because of his looks, not because of his money, but because of something you couldn't quite put your finger on. That thing you couldn't name. That's what we're talking about today. Because high value isn't about what you have, it's about who you are, and more specifically, how you carry yourself. Today, we're breaking down the 5 things that make women genuinely see a man as high value. Not tricks, not manipulation, just psychology. Let's get into it. Number 1, you have a direction in life. Here's something most men don't realize. Women aren't just attracted to success, they're attracted to purpose. There's a massive difference between a man who has money and a man who is building something. One has an outcome, the other has a mission. And a man on a mission is magnetic. Why? Because purpose creates energy. It creates focus. It creates the kind of quiet confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. When a man knows where he's going, he stops seeking validation from everyone around him. He stops chasing approval. He stops being desperate. And women notice that immediately. You don't have to be successful yet. You just have to be moving. The man who wakes up every day with something to work toward carries himself differently. He walks differently. He talks differently. He isn't waiting for life to happen to him. He is happening to life. And that energy is one of the most attractive things a man can have. So ask yourself honestly, do you have a direction? Something that gets you up in the morning? Something you're building? Because if you don't, that's the first thing to fix. Not your clothes, not your haircut, your purpose. Number 2, you don't chase, you attract. This is one of the most misunderstood things about attraction. Most men believe that showing more interest, trying harder, being more available will make a woman more attracted to them. But psychology tells a very different story. The more you chase, the less attractive you become. Not because playing games works, but because chasing signals something deeper. It signals neediness. And neediness signals low value. Think about it this way. A rare, valuable thing is never desperate to be chosen. A man who constantly checks if she replied, who changes his plans for someone who hasn't committed, who shrinks himself to keep her comfortable, is communicating one thing. I don't believe I'm enough without your approval. And women feel that. High-value men don't chase. They invest. There's a difference. Chasing is giving your energy to someone regardless of what they give back. Investing is giving your energy to someone who is showing up for you too. When you stop chasing and start having standards, something shifts. You become selective, and selective men are perceived as valuable. Because here's the truth. Everyone chases what they can't easily have, and everyone takes for granted what is always available. So stop making yourself so available to people who aren't making themselves available to you. Your time and energy are your most valuable resources. Spend them like it. Number 3, you are emotionally grounded. This one is deeper than most people expect. Emotional groundedness is not about being cold. It's not about hiding your feelings. It's not about pretending nothing bothers you. It's about not being controlled by your emotions in the moment. Here's what that looks like in practice. A situation gets tense. A low-value man reacts immediately. He gets defensive, aggressive, or he shuts down completely. A high-value man pauses. He responds instead of reacting. He stays calm without being cold. That difference is everything. Because emotional groundedness communicates something profound. It says, I have control over myself, and a man who can control himself can handle anything. Women aren't attracted to men who fall apart under pressure. They're not attracted to men who need constant reassurance. They're not attracted to men who make every emotional moment about their own ego. They're deeply attracted to a man who can hold space, who can stay steady when things get hard, who doesn't need to win every argument to feel secure. This is called emotional maturity, and it is incredibly rare. Most men were never taught this. They were taught to suppress emotions, not regulate them. But there's a difference between suppression and regulation. Suppression is pretending you don't feel anything. Regulation is feeling it and choosing how to respond. The man who can do that is the man who stands out. Every time. Number 4, you have standards and boundaries. Let's be honest about something. Most men are terrified of boundaries. They're afraid that if they say no, she'll leave. She'll lose interest. She'll think he doesn't care. But the opposite is true. A man without boundaries is not attractive. He's convenient. And there's a massive difference between being wanted and being convenient. Boundaries communicate self-respect, and a man who respects himself is a man worth respecting. Think about the men women describe as high value. They don't cancel their own plans to always be available. They don't tolerate disrespect just to keep the peace. They don't change who they are to be liked. They are consistent. They are clear. They are unbothered by the need for approval. And that consistency, that quiet refusal to shrink, is deeply attractive. Here's the psychology behind it. When you have no standards, you signal that you will accept anything. And when someone knows they can treat you any way they want, they stop seeing you as a challenge. They stop seeing you as valuable. They start seeing you as a guaranteed option. And guaranteed options are never exciting. But a man who has standards, who will genuinely walk away from situations that don't serve him, that man creates something rare: respect. And respect is the foundation of real attraction. Number 5, you make her feel something without trying too hard. This is the one most people get completely wrong. They think making a woman feel attracted means being impressive, showing off achievements, dropping hints at status, performing. But genuine attraction doesn't come from performance, it comes from presence. High-value men are fully present. When they're in a conversation, they're actually in it. They listen, they notice, they remember small details. Not because they're running a strategy, but because they're genuinely interested. And that presence, that real undivided attention, is something most people never experience. Because most people are half present, checking their phone, thinking about what to say next, planning their next move. But the man who is actually there, who makes you feel like you are the most interesting thing in the room, creates a feeling that is incredibly rare, and rare things are always valuable. This also connects to something called emotional safety. A high-value man makes a woman feel safe enough to be herself, not judged, not performing, not on edge, just comfortable. And comfort combined with attraction is one of the most powerful combinations in human psychology. You create that not by trying harder, but by being more present, more grounded, more secure in who you are. So let's bring it all together. 5 things that make women see you as high value. 1, you have a direction, a purpose, something you're building. 2, you don't chase, you invest. You have standards for where your energy goes. 3, you are emotionally grounded. You respond, you don't react. 4, you have boundaries. You respect yourself enough to walk away from what doesn't serve you. 5, you are present. You make people feel something real without performing. None of these require money. None of these require looks. None of these require status. They require something harder: self-awareness, self-discipline, and the willingness to become the kind of man that doesn't need anyone's validation to feel complete. Because here's the final truth. High value isn't a performance. It's a standard you set for yourself every single day. And the moment you start living by that standard, everything changes. The way you carry yourself changes. The way people treat you changes. The way you see yourself changes. And that is where real attraction begins. If this gave you something to think about, subscribe for more psychology content like this.